Hello, my name is Jenny. I am a student of English literature. This is my story. I want to tell you about my life in London. I want to tell you about my fantastic teacher. You can read my story and learn English with me. It is a beautiful day of summer. I am traveling on a train. Two women are on the train with me. The women are sitting opposite me. They are communicating in English, a language I'm not very proficient in. Although I'm in the process of learning English as a beginner, my vocabulary is limited. Despite that, I initiated a conversation with the women. I said some words in basic English. The women understood what I wanted to say, and that made me happy. I said that I want to learn English. The women told me that they are from England. They are going home from a conference. Our conversation was 10 minutes long. The next station was my station. I said goodbye. The women gave me their address and phone number. They told me that I can visit them in England. Then we said goodbye. After this meeting, I worked on my English every day. I translated texts and watched films in English. In 6 months, my English was improved. Things were going well, but I desired to expand my knowledge further. I traveled to London with the intention of studying English there. Upon arriving in London, I enrolled in a school, and my initial lesson took place on a Monday. I met my teacher and other students in the class. My teacher was a young and fine lady. She was very nice and humble. We introduced ourselves and then proceeded with the lesson. Our teacher has a question for us. She wanted to know our general knowledge about the language. Our teacher told us that she can teach through a very effective method to learn English. This method was very simple. Our teacher tells us that we would not have to study. We won't have to read textbooks, but we would have to use English a lot in our daily lives. It proved to be highly beneficial for me. I wasn't fond of learning from textbooks as they tended to confuse me. Instead, we discussed the key aspects of learning a new language and what mattered most in the process. Our teacher told us language is a purpose and a mode for communication. We need languages to communicate. Languages help us to express ideas and thoughts. So, when you learn a new language, the best method is to use the language to express our feelings and to communicate with other people as well. And this is what we will do in our course. We will speak and make use of English language a lot. Many students try to remember new words. They also study grammar rules. And these students don't use English for speaking. They study about the language, but they don't use the language. There is a difference. Of course, you need to learn new words and grammar, but you don't have to study them. You need to practice them on a daily basis. In this course, I wanted to show a very simple and effective method on how to learn vocabulary and grammar. I like what our teacher says. Our lesson continues. We discussed our hobbies and how we like to spend our time, either in pairs or with our teacher. I found the experience of attending classes enjoyable. I'm genuinely pleased that this learning system has proven to be highly effective and beneficial for me. Chapter 2: How I Learned Vocabulary. I went to school on Tuesday again. One of the students asked the question which was interesting for me. She asked, what is the best way to learn new words. Our teacher told there are many things you can do to learn new words. I will tell you what the most effective way for learning new words is statistically. It is reading. Engaging in reading helps individuals acquire new words in their language, and those who read do so twice as quickly as those who don't. It's recommended to dedicate at least 30 minutes to reading each day. To maximize the benefits of reading, it's crucial to choose books or texts that genuinely interest you. Enjoying the content is key to getting the most out of your reading experience. The book can be a nice story, or it can be fictional or non-fictional. Whatever your interest is for the book, don't read the text which isn't interesting for you. When you don't know many words, you can get frustrated. You always want to enjoy everything you do while using the language. It is effective to choose a text which is interesting and also okay for your level. When you read the text and you see a word which you don't understand, you should take a dictionary and find the word in the dictionary. Then you would look at its meaning. This will make better understanding of the text, and your knowledge for the text will be increased. You won't have to write the word anywhere. The word will automatically get locked in your brain, and you will always remember its meaning wherever you will see this word again. Every time when there is a new word for you, you will do the same. Reading also has another great advantage. Reading not only introduces you to new words, but also helps you understand how each word is intricately connected to others in a sentence. Observing the correct linkage of words enhances the effectiveness of learning new vocabulary in this manner. Try it, and you will see how fast you can learn new words. Then we continue with the lesson. We speak about the situation in England and about the best jobs for students. This is good for me because I want to get a job. I want to do something in my spare time after school. I asked other students if they know from where I can find a job. They told me that I should go to a job center. The job center offers a lot of jobs, especially for students. This is good for me. I am happy that I know from where I can find a job. When my day at school was over, I went to the job center. I did not know what job I could do, so I asked the lady at the job center, what is the best job for a student? The lady told me that they have some good jobs for students. She told me that I can be a cleaner or a waitress in a cafe. I told the lady that I have no experience with these jobs. She told me that my English is good enough to work at the cafe. The training wasn't challenging, and I'll have more opportunities to speak English compared to when I was a cleaner. She informed me that I can begin my job on Thursday. Everything is going well for me. I am happy that I have a job where I can practice English. When you want to learn new words effectively, read for 30 minutes every day. On Wednesday, I went to school again. There is one student in the class who is quieter than the others. He is from South Korea. When our teacher asked if we had any questions for her, this student from Korea said that he has a question. He mentioned having a significant issue with pronunciation. While aware that his pronunciation isn't very good, he was uncertain about how to enhance it. Due to the lack of listeners for his less than perfect pronunciation, he refrains from speaking much. He said that he reads and watches films in English a lot. He understands very well, but he also wants to improve speaking. He asked if there is something he could do to be better at pronunciation. When my teacher heard this, she said, "Okay, I will tell you something about pronunciation and how to practice it. I will also teach you techniques which can help all of you to become better at pronunciation." First, we have to look at why students have a problem with pronunciation. When we speak, we have to move our mouth. We have to use muscles in our mouth. We all do that. The problem is that when you speak English, sometimes you use your muscles the same way you would use them in your native language. Then your pronunciation is different from the pronunciation of native speakers. This is a common experience for many students. When learning English, almost everyone develops a slightly different pronunciation than what might be considered ideal. However, it's generally not a significant issue, as people typically understand your intended meaning, even if your pronunciation isn't perfect. However, you can work on your pronunciation and make it better by a great technique which can help you a lot. The name of this technique is shadowing. The technique is very simple. When you do shadowing, you simply copy the sound which you hear. When children learn their first language, they learn it by copying. They copy after their parents again and again, and one day their pronunciation becomes perfect. If you can learn English pronunciation the same way, this is what you can do. You take some videos or audios recording, which is not very fast and which you can understand very well. You listen and you copy what you hear when you hear it. That is all. Then our teacher went to www.youtube.com and she searched for the shadowing technique. She found good videos where the shadowing technique was very well demonstrated. We watched the video, then we all tried to do shadowing for about 3 minutes. Then our teacher told us shadowing is also good when you are preparing for presentation in English and you want to have good pronunciation before the presentation. You can go to some place where you are alone and you can do shadowing for about 10 minutes. You'll notice a significant improvement in your pronunciation during the presentation. This intrigued me because I hadn't come across this technique before. After the lesson concluded, I headed to the school reception. I asked the lady if there are any sport activities at school. I would like to do some sport in England. The lady at the reception says, "Yes, we have a table tennis team and a football team. The football team has training today at 5 at 5 hours." I was very happy because sport is very important in my life. I went to the training of the football team. I met a lot of players from different countries. The players are from Brazil, Japan, Russia, Spain, Argentina, and Italy. I liked the training. I was very happy that my time in England started well. I have a great teacher. I also have some new friends from my football team. Also, tomorrow, I am starting my job as well. When you want to have good pronunciation, repeat after native speakers. On Thursday, I went to school again. We had a new student in our class. Her name is Elizabeth, and she is from Italy. At the beginning of the lesson, my teacher asked Elizabeth some questions. My teacher is acquainted with Elizabeth as she attended her class a year ago. It was a beginner's class that lasted for just 2 weeks during the summer holiday. When Elizabeth speaks, she does so eloquently. Her pronunciation is very good, and she is fluent. My teacher was very happy, and she told Elizabeth, "Your school in Italy must be very good." Elizabeth says, "I don't go to any school. I learn English at home. I use techniques that I learn from you. I do a lot of reading, shadowing, and thinking aloud. I try to think more in English than in Italian. This is how I work on my English. The 2 weeks which I spent last summer at your class helped me a lot. You showed me the way. I know how to work on my English every day. This is why I wanted to join your class again. Because 1 year ago I was a beginner, and now I can speak English. I want to learn from you again." My teacher was very happy when she heard these words. She commended Elizabeth for her diligent efforts. This is all quite fascinating for me. While I'm familiar with reading and the shadowing technique, Elizabeth also mentioned something called thinking aloud. Since I'm unfamiliar with it, I decided to ask our teacher, "What is thinking aloud?" Our teacher replied, "It is a very effective technique. You have to have a strong motivation to learn English if you want to have benefits from this technique. It is also good to know that for some people, this technique is a little crazy. But when you start to think aloud, your English can be better very fast." I said, "I have a strong motivation. I don't care if the technique is crazy. If it helps, I want to learn it. Can you teach us this technique?" Okay, it is actually very simple. You think in your native language all day, every time. It is normal. Now, you can start to think in English. And when you start to think in English, then you can think aloud. You just express out loud what's on your mind. That's all there is to it. I find it quite straightforward. Why is it so effective? Our teacher responds, "Perhaps you could inquire with Elizabeth. She employs this technique, and she might provide more insights into it for you." Then our teacher asked Elizabeth if it is okay for her to speak about experience with thinking aloud. It is not a problem for Elizabeth. She said, "When I started with this technique, it wasn't easy. I started with very simple sentences. Take, for instance, I am capable of speaking English. It's beneficial that I possess this skill. I aspire to enhance it. Daily practice is essential for improvement. Despite a limited vocabulary, I can effectively utilize the words I know. I can articulate my thoughts using these words. I am capable of achieving this."